In our Sunday specials tonight, victims of the recent flood disaster in Jigawa State, northwestern Nigeria, are pleading with the state and federal government to provide lasting solutions to the devastating floods that has devastated their towns for over 20 years, resulting in loss of lives and destruction of property worth millions of naira. Our TVC News correspondent Yusuf Isa has the story.
A devastating flood hits Jigawa State in northwestern Nigeria. Many people were left stranded. Muhammad Ibrahim is one of the victims. He lost his home and is now living in a temporary IDP camp with his family.
We had over 7 rooms in this house, a place where we made so many memories, where our children grew up, but now they are all gone. The floodwaters came, and they collapsed one by one. I remember the sounds of the walls cracking, the roof caving in. It was like a nightmare.
Yunus Agarba and Salisu Musa are also victims of the flood. Heavy rainfall caused their building to collapse. They lost everything. Now, Muhammad Ibrahim, Yunus Agarba, and Salisu Musa are struggling to survive in an IDP camp. Their situation is very difficult.
This house was more than just a building. It was our family's legacy. We had over 12 rooms, each one filled with love, laughter, and tears. But in a matter of hours, it was all gone. We were left with nothing but the clothes on our backs. I'm scared for the future. How will we rebuild our lives? How will we provide for our children? The uncertainty is overwhelming. The flood took everything from us.
The recent flood disaster in Jigawa State has left a trail of destruction, affecting over 148 communities. With 7,500 households impacted, more than 50,000 people have been displaced. The floods have also washed away around 11,500 farmlands, leaving many without a source of income. Tragically, 33 lives have been lost.
The flood swept away my farm, leaving me with almost nothing. The situation is dire. With my farm washed away by the flood waters, we are now struggling to find food to eat.
We had over 7 rooms in this house, a place where we made so many memories, where our children grew up, but now they are all gone. The floodwaters came.
The recent flooding submerged my house, leaving me with nothing. It is a devastating tragedy. The flood disaster claimed my son's life when our building collapsed. I have lost my home and my child.
Community members in Jahon, Mega, and Kiyawa local government have been struggling with annual flooding since 2005, with the Akama Pond posing a continuous threat. They believe that the increasing impact of climate change has worsened the flooding.
A lot of property has been lost, and also buildings, structure, houses, shops, and what have you. All this has been destroyed by this water.
The issue of this flooding is a perennial issue. Year in, year out, we have the same problem. And unfortunately, up to now, there has not been a solution.
We just need a permanent solution to this problem.
The flooding has resulted in significant loss of life and property. Many of the affected residents now have to rebuild their shelter. These communities are urging the government to implement a permanent solution, which includes dredging the Akama Pond and constructing flood control measures. They also call for actions to mitigate the effects of climate change to prevent future flooding.
So we as a community member of that local government, we are appealing to the state governor to come into our aid and also find a final and workable solution to this problem of the flood in Jahon local government, especially this Akama Pond.
Oh, it's been a nightmare. The flood waters came suddenly, and before we knew it, our home was underwater. I was so scared, trying to grab what little I could, but most of our belongings were washed away. My children were crying, and my husband was trying to save what he could, but it was too much. Now we're left with nothing. No food, no clothes, no home. I'm worried about how we'll survive. I'm devastated. The flood took everything, our home, our belongings, our food. I'm worried about my children's well-being. We need help to start over.
In response, President Bola Tinubu's Defense Minister, Muhammad Badar Abubakar, the House Committee on Ecological Fund, and the Jigawa State Government have extended their condolences to the flood victims. They have assessed the damage and pledged federal and state support to the affected communities.
On behalf of myself and the government of Jigawa State, express our deep sympathies to the people affected by the recent flood that occurred in about 13 local government areas in Jigawa State. Already, the state government is intervening to provide emergency reliefs to those affected. Equally, the federal government, through the National Emergency Management Agencies, have also expressed their sympathies to those affected.
On behalf of the President of the Federal Republic, President Bola Tinubu, he asked me also to condole, even though he has done that, and they have called the governor to condole him over the deaths of the people and to sympathize with him of the loss of the properties. He said I should deliver his message personally to you, that he sympathizes with you and the good people of Jigawa State over these flooding incidents. And he said his heart is with you, and he will do everything possible to support your cause.
So here in Jigawa, I will make sure that Jigawa State partake and benefit from whatever resolution the committee and the National Assembly will have, and then inshallah it is going to be tabled before the ecological office.
As the situation in these communities worsens, residents remain hopeful that the government will heed their calls for assistance and provide a sustainable solution to the flooding crisis. Many attribute the recent floods to the 7 consecutive days of heavy rainfall, a phenomenon that is unprecedented in Jigawa State's history.
In Kaduna State, a small community called Maru, located in Kajuru local